All is good with the world when the Vancouver Canucks add on some new talent. Ladies and gentlemen, it was just announced that the Vancouver Canucks have agreed to terms with forward prospect Ilya Safonov. This was posted about by the Canucks on social media literally just 5 minutes ago. General Manager Ryan Johnson announced today the Canucks have agreed to terms with forward Safonov on a 1-year, 2-way contract for the 26-27 season. Now, the interesting thing about this announcement here is the fact that the Vancouver Canucks social media team went through the effort of putting Safonov in not one, but 2 alternate jersey swaps with Canucks colors. That's significant to me. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Safonov is a guy who is coming over from the KHL. He played in Akbars Kazan, and the fact that he is 25 years old, so maybe not necessarily a young prospect, quote unquote. But it's interesting to me because generally speaking, when we see guys coming over from Europe, a lot of times they're just not good enough to play NHL hockey straight away. Sometimes you get the Andrei Kuzmenkos or the Kirill Kaprizovs of the world where their game in the KHL fully translates to the National Hockey League level right away. But other times you get guys that just don't really have what it takes to be an NHL athlete right off the hop. I think Vadim Shipachev is the best example of a guy that we thought was going to be good in the NHL, but just was never able to crack that roster. Ilya Safonov is a guy whom the Canucks team themselves are setting up to be a Canuck. They literally went through the effort of showing him in Canucks colors. Safonov is a guy who, this season playing for Akbars Kazan, was a 6'4", 205-pound left-handed center. He's a big boy, and he had scored 33 points in 68 Akbars Kazan games. Add to this 9 points in 20 playoff games, and you have a player profile who is intriguing enough to take a flyer on at this point of his hockey playing career. Now, this actually is not new news. The idea of the Canucks signing Safonov, now the announcement and the dollar amount and all that stuff, 1 year, 2-way, that's not really special. A lot of these European free agents end up getting contracts like that. This technically is the announcement, and this is the new part about it, but we actually knew that Safonov was coming over to Vancouver already because of an article that was posted onto rg.org earlier yesterday. Take a look at this. Daria Tuboltseva went out there and posted this on RG. Ilya Safonov chooses NHL move after Canucks uncertainty. Key takeaways from this article yesterday: Ilya Safonov is set to sign with the Vancouver Canucks after uncertainty over whether he would move to the NHL. The 25-year-old center initially had an agreement with Vancouver's previous management before the club made major changes. He ended up recording those 33 points in 68 games and was expected to sign a 1-year ELC. Quick reminder, the Vancouver Canucks were able to get Safonov from the Chicago Blackhawks because they traded nothing to get him. He was initially drafted by Chicago in the 6th round, 172nd overall in 2021, and sometime last year, after I think it was day 2 of the draft, I'm pretty sure, the Chicago Blackhawks ended up trading Safonov to Vancouver for future consideration. So if Safonov comes over to Vancouver and actually plays a game, that's already a trade win for the Vancouver Canucks. But let's dive into what Tuboltseva writes in this article, talking about Safonov and his overall story. After lengthy consideration, the Russian forward has decided to continue his career in the NHL. During the season, he was firmly planning to join the Canucks, but his decision became less certain after major changes in Vancouver's front office and coaching staff. The 25-year-old center has played in the Akbars Kazan system in the KHL since 2018. Last season, he helped the team reach the Gagarin Cup final, where Akbars lost 4-2 in the series to Lokomotiv Yaroslavl. Safonov is a powerful, physical forward who consistently drives to the net, plays effectively around the crease, and contributes in all 3 zones. His move to Vancouver will also be followed closely by analysts, scouts, and hockey betting sites as the Canucks look to add more size and depth down the middle. After Akbars reached the final, the club's management hoped to convince one of its leaders to stay with the team. However, Ilya Safonov and his agent Dan Milstein ultimately decided to leave. A source familiar with the situation told RG. Safonov was selected by Chicago in the 172nd overall spot. Last year, the Blackhawks traded his rights to Vancouver. Safonov had considered moving to North America a year earlier, but chose to spend one more season in Russia. This spring, the Canucks made major changes to their management structure. The club fully reshaped its senior front office and dismissed its coaching staff. GM Patrick Allvin was among those removed, and he was replaced by Ryan Johnson, who previously had success running the club's AHL affiliate and also served as GM. Safonov initially had an agreement with Vancouver's previous management group. However, after the changes, his move became uncertain. According to latest info, though, the player and the club have now reached an agreement on a contract. So that's not surprising, right? Like, we had this announcement made yesterday, and a lot of Canucks fans, especially those on the R-Canucks subreddit, were pretty optimistic about this move. Scouting report from what I've heard is that he's physical, strong defensively, good at draws, and is a net front beast. Doesn't really have much offensive upside at the NHL level, but there's the potential for a defensive fourth-line center there. Worth the swing when we're rebuilding. He is not going to be a part of the next core, but big bottom six centers are worth a lot in the trade market if he can be successful. This comment, I think, is a really good one. I kind of wonder a bit if the center plans tentatively are P.D. Rossi, give Ratu some real runway as a 3C, and sign someone else as a placeholder 4C that Safonov and Coots could try to knock out. Just spitballing here, but I'd expect there's a handshake deal to give him an honest run at 4C to start the year. Russians in their prime usually don't go overseas to play in the AHL, especially ones who seem to have a good thing going on with their old team. And that's a pretty good element of that as well. Ilya Safonov, for all of the excitement there is to have him in Vancouver playing for the Canucks, this is a pretty big move for a guy that has played all of his life in Russia. And seeing KHL dudes make the transition to the NHL is usually met with some sort of an expectation that they would be an NHL athlete. These guys have a decent amount of pride in them. They don't want to come over and just play AHL hockey. They'd be more comfortable staying in Europe. So for Safonov, it seems like because there was already some hesitation on his behalf to join Chicago in previous years, there might have been some sort of an incentive to negotiate or at least acknowledge that this guy wants NHL time. And yes, he's not going to dethrone a Ratu or a Rossi or a Pettersson, but he's a center and he's willing to put in the work to be a fourth line guy at the very least, it seems. And if he's willing to do that, then there's no reason for him not to sign the contract, right? So with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Ilya Safonov contract signing on behalf of the Vancouver Canucks? Ryan Johnson makes his first official move as Canucks GM. I guess, since hiring Manny Malhotra, right? I guess that's also a thing that they did. That's a move, right? Player moves, I guess. Ilya Safonov is officially a Vancouver Canuck. We can expect him to probably get an honest shot at joining the team in a full-time capacity next season. I'm excited to see what this defensively stout, net front puck driving forward can do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Safonov signing with the Canucks? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.